So season 2 of Arcane has just come out, and I gotta say, we're off to a fantastic start with this first episode. Honestly, I love everything about it except for some areas, so it doesn't get that perfect 10 out of 10 score for me, but honestly, the majority of it's excellent. We start this episode off with the aftermath of episode 8, where Jinx has launched her rocket at the council chambers, and we get to see the results. Somehow, Jace has survived along with Mel, but a lot of the council members are dead. Victor is heavily injured to the point that he might die. There's another council member who has his legs crushed. I think his name is Jason or something. I'll put his name down here so you guys can see. It's just a complete fiasco. Caitlyn's mom has passed away. A few other prominent members are now dead. So it's just a complete disaster. And we move in from this scene to like the sad montage. And honestly, I loved it. We got just some music playing in the background that's just all sad, just grayed out depictions of the world from Caitlyn's point of view as she's going through this massive amount of grief of just seeing her mom and the whole tragedy that just unfolded in front of her. I'm going to say though, it went a little bit too long in my liking. I thought it could have been shorter up just a little bit. I thought it just took a little bit too long to go through, but honestly, I gotta say I did like it, so it doesn't necessarily take out too many points for me in my opinion for how long it lasted. It just went a little bit longer than I thought it needed to. Now, one thing I wish that they would have had some respect for in this episode is Caitlyn's father. Every time we see him, he's just pathetic. I mean, I understand the man has just lost his wife, but you couldn't let him have some dignity, have him have like a brave face, but let tears streaming down his face. Instead, you just have him having like this pathetic posture, this weak and sorry sap of a man. Like, I get it. Hey, if I lost my wife, I'd probably be a wreck as well, but you couldn't let him just be locked into his room and crying and being sad. You had to show him out in public of just being sad and pathetic. I'm sorry, it's not the biggest issue in the show. It's just that we always see the male characters in these current day shows just acting pathetic, and it would be nice if we got to see Caitlyn's father actually being a strong man for Caitlyn, even though we see that's eating him alive, instead of just seeing him looking and acting pathetic. That's just my opinion. I mean, I know that in the relationship, Caitlyn's mom was definitely the more prominent one, and her dad was not so much, but still, I would have liked at least a little bit more respect for her father in this episode than what they portrayed. Now, from here, we move right into the council meeting again. It's going to be, as I said, that gentleman Jason, I think that's his name, I'll put it down here again, Mel, and this one other black lady, I don't know her name, so I'll put her name down here, but these three decide that they are going to go to war against Zahn. Now, the thing that Mel pushes back on here, though, is that they won't use the Hex Tech weaponry. Now, if you don't remember what Hex Tech is this new technology that Jace and Victor were pioneering with magic. And Victor made Jace swear that they won't use their tools or the discoveries for weaponry anymore, and Mel was able to prevent them from doing that, even though Jason's backer, the kind of funny story here, his backer right now is the not Targaryen, is the Noxus general, Mel's mother, who is encouraging this war with Zahn. And she's not necessarily too pleased that they're not going down the path of war with Hextech. Because if you want to ask my opinion, what she was hoping to get out of this is that they would develop these weapons along, and then they would either have to sell these to Noxus, or Noxus would just come and invade and take them over. So we're kind of just left in limbo exactly what Noxus is going to do here, because here's the thing, Noxus invades everybody. They've invaded the Freljord, they've invaded Demacia, they've invaded I'm forgetting what it's called. It's that Asian country with the anime waifus, and then there's the sand area. I'm sorry, my League of Legends lore memory is kind of fading, so I don't really have that big of a memory at the moment. But pretty much just what's been going on here. So she's not necessarily too pleased about that, but they come to consensus that they're going to send in a task force to hunt down Jinx to prevent her from slipping through their fingers, because, well, it's not been that good of try so far, if this is the result of what the efforts have proven. Now, one thing they bring up that's interesting in this meeting is that Caitlyn's there at the meeting. Now, Caitlyn's there because she's had first eyes on Jinx. She's able to report on what happened there and the whole scenario. But I'm kind of curious, like, why are you even questioning why she's there? Because don't you need, like, all the major houses in Pelvoin to come down and make the arguments for if you're going to go to war or not? Like, how do you just have 3 people just deciding if you're going to go to war for the city or not? Like, I feel like that's something that shouldn't be able to happen, that each one of the houses that are still standing should be able to send in another representative and let them decide on what way Piltover is going to go, whether they're going to go to war with Zon or not. So I kind of find this kind of weird. Like, yes, I understand emergency meeting, emergency protocols, absolutely understand that, but going to war, you're able to justify that with just the 3 people on the council. I don't know. I push back against that a little bit because, I mean, what's the point of houses then? Like, do the other houses not matter? Do these other individuals who died that were on the council and their houses, do they not matter? Like, a little bit more explanation of how this government system is actually going to be working here and why they're able to make these decisions without a full council would be nice. Now, I know that this is a sad episode, but you really feel in every nook and cranny of this episode, and it has its pros and cons to that it gets to a point that's just too dreary. They do have a sunny spot in the episode midway through, but honestly, I thought that they could use a better scenario to lighten the mood than what they did, just in my opinion. Now, before we get to that, I want to continue on our discussion of Caitlyn and how the scenario is affecting her. So we follow Caitlyn after this meeting. She's back at home with her father, who's still moping around and all that. Like, hey, I understand. Just lost his wife. Completely get that. So in his home, sure, we can see him be more depressed. Caitlyn reveals to her dad that she had a shot on Jinx, but she hesitated, and then that's what allowed her to launch the rocket to go kill the council members. And one thing that was refreshing is that the dad didn't start criticizing Caitlyn, didn't start blaming her for her mother's death. He just takes it in, and then he passes the key to their estate, that Caitlyn is now the head of the house. And I get it that she would become the head of the house eventually, but I feel like that should have still gone to her father, that her father should have taken on that responsibility to run the house, and then once he passes, then she takes up the mantle. I get that maybe in a sense, like, only a female can lead the house, I guess, but I would still prefer the father to still keep the position, and then once he passes away, then it moves on to the daughter, and she's now old enough to make the decisions for their house. That's what I would prefer, but the show went another route. It's okay. I don't really have necessarily too big of gripes with it. I just thought it was kind of interesting the way that they went about that. Now, at the same time, Vi is standing in the hallway, and her dad sees her, and he has an outburst of why she's still there. I'm not sure exactly why he's against Vi. I guess he's just lashing out against her because she's from Zon, or maybe there's some other reason. Don't really know, but Caitlyn takes Vi away to get her out of her dad's sight, and then we can finally see Caitlyn starting letting her emotions run wild and let her actually express how sad and how distraught she is after losing her mom. And Vi, she tries to comfort her, she tries to help her out. She tells her, like, hey, just get Jace to repair my gauntlets, and I'll go after Jinx alone. You don't have to be part about this. And no, Caitlyn makes a good point to Vi that we can't go half-cocked anymore. Going half-cocked after Jinx is what led to this whole mess. We have to now form together and go after her, because that's what the council go inside. They're going to send out the army. And when Vi hears this, she's a little bit taken aback, but she's understand. And at that same exact moment, Caitlyn then offers Vi a position with the enforcers. Now, Vi, she does not take to this well. If you don't know why, well, they say in the episode, just to remind the viewers that the enforcers are the ones who killed her parents, which, okay, absolutely understand that. But that was a long time ago, and I can understand having massive regrets or hesitations from wanting to join the enforcers, but Caitlyn is there. She's offering you the position, and It's a way for you to go after your sister and maybe bring her back alive and not just let her get shot by one of the other enforcers. But Vi doesn't take to this well, and she just refuses Caitlyn outright. And Caitlyn, for her side, is just like, wait, I thought you were on our side. And Vi's like, well, you didn't think at all. And I'm mostly on Caitlyn's side here. Like, she is in the right here. Vi was on her side. She is down to stop Jinx, to stop this massive chaos that's going on between Piltover and Zahn, but it just seems to be falling into chaos. And I also kind of see Vi's point of view that she still can't quite get over the Enforcer side of things. Even though she's seen that the Enforcers aren't all necessarily bad guys like she used to think, but she still can't quite get over that scenario. And we don't really see anything in this episode that allows her to overcome her dislike of the Enforcers of the episode. The only thing that we get in this episode is her getting a realization that Caitlyn stood up for her, that Caitlyn bragged about how brave she was and how important she is. And that is what decides Vi to go join the Enforcers. It's not that she comes to recollection that the Enforcers, although have made massive mistakes and have done Zahn great evil deeds, at the same time, she will also come to the same conclusion that they also are probably the force that's going to help save Zahn. She doesn't have anything like that. So I would prefer it if she had some recollection, because when she does decide to go back to join to help Caitlyn, it's mostly because two officers found her out on the street drinking with some random enforcer dude, and they just give this soliloquy on how Caitlyn bragged about her to the rest of the enforcers, and that if people got out of line, she would pull their funding from the enforcers. So there we go. As I said, that is the scenario of where the bright liar spot come from, because as I said, this episode is pretty depressing. It's probably what I gotta say. You needed some longevity, something light to come out of air, just so you can breathe, so you can go back and take in the second part of the story. And yes, we have something like that when we're having this conversation of how Caitlyn expressed her gratitude of Vi and bragged about her to the rest of the enforcers. I felt like it would have been better if we would have got to go to like one of the pubs and see that although the spirit in Piltover is severely hampered by the attack from Zahn, there's still people cracking jokes, still laughing, still having a juvenile time, just to get over the depression that's gripping the city at this point. I personally would prefer that, because although it did some of its job, I didn't feel like it really was a great method to lighten the mood of the episode, so that you can then dive back in to the more depressing matter, which is then the memorial for the council members who died. And that's the thing, like, I don't really know why everyone is so depressed in Piltover. Like, okay, I understand. Like, I'd be angry, I'd be furious, but I don't know why there's so many people sad in Piltover. For what I can see is like maybe 4 or 5 people who passed away in that chamber. Yes, tragedy. It's absolutely a horrendous thing that happened, that people died. But I don't see why it'd be necessarily this dour mood. I would understand more like a wrathful mood from the populace, but I don't really understand the more dour mood from so many people who... I mean, I'm going to say it. If your government officials died, I'd be angry, but I don't know if I'd cry about them. I'd be infuriated. I'd be pissed off that someone assassinated them. But depressed is not necessarily the thing that comes to mind. Now, I get it as a viewer from the TV show. It's helped us get into the mood that this is supposed to be a depressing atmosphere, but I just don't know if the people from Piltover would be feeling that way in this scenario. That's just me. Now, as this memorial is going on, being led by Mel, we then have another attack from Zahn. And this is one of the Baronesses who's come after Jace for the death of her son. And she starts swinging her buzzsaw around at him. And one of the Zahn soldiers is about to kill Mel, but instead of just firing his gun at her, he points it up into the air, fires it into the air. That sets us a flare. That all of a sudden this massive warship, or I guess I should say massive airship, just comes through and drops off a whole bunch of people in gas gear. My guess is, what I remember from the lore, is that these people go down to the crevice of Zahn, and they are the ones who are either digging into materials or having to deal with a whole bunch of toxic waste. I forget the lore for what these guys do, but from what I remember, it's pretty cool. Hopefully someone can tell me more about them because they didn't really explain that well in the show. I think, actually, not thinking about it, I think these were experiments of Shimmer, and these guys were supposed to be deep divers, I think. I don't really remember, unfortunately. Sorry, my apologies on that. But regardless, a great fight ensues. The Baroness, she's able to kill a couple of the enforcers and almost is able to kill Jay, and she chases after him. Mel and the rest of the council members who were there at the memorial are able to get into a carriage, but are unable to escape due to these guys in tanks coming after them. Caitlin and Vi are doing some fighting. Vi, realizing that they don't stand a chance, runs off someone to grab some kind of weapon. And this is where I have a bit of an issue, okay? Jace has the opportunity to get the drop on the Baroness. He has a hammer and he beats her head once, and it seems to disorient her. And he stops. Any normal person would just keep on going, just bashing. Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, this lady is trying to kill you. You don't just go up, smash her head once, and then wait for her to recover, and then turn around and run, only for her to slice your back open with a chainsaw. I thought that was kind of stupid, in my opinion. If anything, he should have gotten closer and just kept on banging her head open with the hammer, or going for the shoulders or arms, or something other than what he was doing, because it was not effective. But regardless, he gets sliced open because he ran away like a little chicken, and he tries crawling away, but eventually the Baroness just slowly catches up with him and is about to execute him if it wasn't for Vi showing up and shooting a blue plasma bolt at her. It turns out that she brought Jace's hammer that can switch into a gun, and she's trying to use it to save the others, but she's having trouble. Surprise, surprise. And Jace has to go over and help her out with the mechanic to get into gun form. But just as they're about to get to work to shoot off one of the charging deep divers, I guess you could say, all of a sudden these spears from Noxus come flying out of nowhere and killing all of these guys in their tank suits, including they kill the Baroness at the end of it. So now they owe Noxus a deal for saving their hides in this scenario. Now, when that's done, the rest of the council members quickly rush off to safety down in their bunkers down below Piltover, and Caitlin, for her part, she goes back home and she starts doing some research, and what she starts finding some dark and deep secrets. Now, I don't quite understand because, as I said, my League of Legends lore is pretty limited, but it looks like there's something down there, down in the crevices, that needs to be kept hidden, and I'm wondering if this is what's giving Shimmer its power. I'm wondering if it's a demon or something else. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, it seems to frighten Caitlin and gets her mind refocused that she has to stop Jinx and stop this whole scenario going on. And so she decides to head off to the council members' bunker to have another meeting with them. And at this point, they're thoroughly spooked. Like, they're not sure what to do. Like, they should just send out their entire force and just purge Zon or something like that. And that's when Caitlin shows up with the rest of her crew, including Vi, all tricked out in Hex Tech, but very unique Hex Tech gear. I have some questions about, some concerns about, but I will say it does look pretty badass. And from what we hear from Caitlin, her three main objectives are to break down the criminal enterprise that Cisco had made, to destroy Shimmer, and to bring Jinx in to justice. That's her main goals. And the council, I guess, decides to approve it. I haven't seen the second episode yet, but that's where we left off with this one. So it's really a great way to end the episode. I really enjoyed it. As I said, there are only some minor areas here or there that I have some gripes with this episode. So it definitely deserves an 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. That's for perfect episodes. I don't think this is a perfect episode. As I said, I have some gripes with the way they treated Caitlin's father. Some areas, they went a little bit too long in the tooth. I thought that they could have done a little bit better job with breaking the depression in a more lighter tone than what they did. Otherwise, you kind of just felt depressed all the way through, and you kind of were just drowning in it, and it just kind of oversaturated the story, in my thoughts. Also, they should have had someone die at the memorial. Like, if you wanted to not killing the remaining council members, you should have held off on one of the council members that you had killed in that blast and then had them die at the memorial. That would have been great, because then that would have been another sign that these people really do mean business, besides just killing a couple enforcers. Yes, it was tragic that these guys died, but if you killed another council member here at the memorial for council members, that would have been powerful, okay? But instead, nothing really happened there except for just trying to scare the council members, which is fine, but I would prefer something more impactful. So those are just kind of my main areas of critique there. Nothing really big. Overall, the episode was fantastic. Still love the art form, but otherwise, those are what I have to say. Oh, I almost forgot. Victor. Victor is now in a cocoon type thing with his mutated hex tech that is keeping him alive. As far as we can tell, this is the true birth of the League of Legends character that we see on the map. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes out of this cocoon, whether he's going to be in his full metallic robotic form, or if he then has to do some more experimentations on himself before he turns into the full form that we see him in the show. But as for now, that's where I'm going to leave it. If you guys haven't seen this episode yet, highly recommend. Go watch it. Stop watching this. You're going to have a fan time. I promise. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a like if you liked the episode. Leave a dislike if you didn't. Leave a comment down below what you thought. And subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Catch you later. Bye.